Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be exploring this whole world of achievement motivation.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot more than just like wanting to do well.
Right.
We're really going to try to take this deep dive beyond those basic ideas of motivation.
Yeah.
And we're going to be looking at a scale that was created to try to measure what drives people to succeed.
It's like we're taking this, like a magnifying glass to this thing that we call motivation.
Yeah.
Especially in the context of achievement, you know?
Yeah.
And it gets really interesting because we're using a scale that was actually developed specifically with an Arabic-speaking population in mind.
Exactly. Our source material for this deep dive is this book.
Okay.
And it's titled Usiye Faran G,
Okay.
which translates to Achievement Motivation Scale.
Okay. Interesting.
And this book isn't just theory.
Yeah.
It gets into how different cultures,
Yeah.
in this case, Arabic-speaking cultures, might view and experience this drive to achieve.
And that's a crucial point because motivation isn't one size fits all.
Right.
What drives somebody to succeed in one culture might be totally different in another.
So to kick things off, how would you explain achievement motivation to somebody
Okay.
who's like hearing about it for the very first time?
Well, imagine you're climbing a mountain.
Okay.
It's not just about reaching the peak.
Okay.
It's about the challenge itself, the feeling of pushing yourself like beyond your limits.
Right.
And the satisfaction that you get from overcoming each obstacle, along the way.
Okay.
That's really the essence of achievement motivation.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just about the end goal.
Right.
It's about the entire journey and the drive that keeps you going, even when things get tough.
Absolutely. And one of the key theories this book explores is the need for achievement,
Okay.
or nach.
Yeah.
And this was developed by Henry Murray
Okay.
and later expanded on by David McClelland.
Yeah.
And what they found was that people with a high need for achievement, they're often drawn to tasks that are moderately challenging.
Okay.
Not too easy, not too impossible.
Why moderately challenging?
Yeah.
That seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Wouldn't somebody with a high need for achievement want to just tackle, like, the most difficult things?
Well, that's where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Okay.
If a task is too easy, it's not really that satisfying to accomplish.
All right.
And if it's like impossibly difficult,
Yeah.
well, the chances of success are slim, and that could be demotivating.
Right.
But a moderately challenging task, that's where you find that sweet spot
Okay.
between pushing yourself and having a good chance of actually succeeding.
It's like that feeling of, I can do this,
Yeah.
but it's going to take some real effort.
Yeah.
I can see how that could be motivating.
Exactly. And the book dives into how this need for achievement can manifest in different ways.
Okay.
Some people might be driven by competition, wanting to be the best. Others might be more motivated by the challenge itself.
Right.
The process of mastering something new.
So it's not just about wanting to win.
Right.
It's about like the personal satisfaction that
Yeah.
comes with achievement.
Right. And what's really fascinating is that, research has shown this link between a high need for achievement
Okay.
and success in, all different kinds of fields, from like business and entrepreneurship
Yeah.
to academics and even the arts.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So like understanding your own need for achievement could potentially give you some insights into what types of careers or activities you might be most like successful at.
It's definitely a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And what makes this book like even more unique is that it explores these concepts within specifically the Arabic-speaking cultural context.
Okay, so we've talked about the theory of achievement motivation,
Right.
but how do we actually measure something as complex as that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like we can just take out a measuring tape and be like, okay, this is how motivated you are.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And that's where this book scale comes in. It's
Okay.
like they developed a specialized tool to assess achievement motivation
Well-
in a way that's culturally relevant and sensitive.
So instead of just using like a generic scale,
Right.
they created one that takes into account like the unique values
Yeah.
and perspectives of the Arabic-speaking population.
Exactly. And this is where things get really practical
Right.
because the book doesn't just present the scale.
Right.
It also like delves into how it was developed,
Okay.
tested, and validated.
Okay.
And this brings us to these concepts of validity and reliability,
Yeah.
which are essential for any measurement tool, especially in psychology.
All right, so I think we need to maybe break down those concepts for our listeners.
Yeah, for sure.
What do we mean by validity and reliability?
Okay, so think of it like this, okay?
Uh-huh.
Let's say you have a thermometer. That's supposed to measure your body temperature, right?
Right.
If it consistently gives you, like, inaccurate readings, like
Yeah.
saying you have a fever when you don't,
Right.
that thermometer isn't going to be very reliable, would it?
No.
Reliability means that a tool produces consistent results over time.
So it's like if you step on a scale
Right.
multiple times in a row,
Exactly.
you'd expect it to show roughly the same weight.
Exactly. Now, validity is about whether the tool is actually measuring what it claims to measure.
Okay.
So, going back to our thermometer example, let's say it's reliable, meaning it consistently gives the same reading.
Okay.
But what if it's actually measuring your heart rate instead of your body temperature?
Okay.
Even if it's reliable, it wouldn't be valid for measuring temperature.
Okay, so validity is about making sure the tool is actually measuring the right thing.
Yes.
It's like making sure you're using the right tool for the job.
Exactly.
You wouldn't use a hammer to measure a piece of wood, would you?
Exactly. And, in the context of this book, they actually go to great lengths to demonstrate that their scale is both reliable and valid for measuring achievement motivation in the specific population they're studying.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So they're not just like throwing out a bunch of questions.
Right.
They've actually done the research to make sure the scale is accurate,
Exactly.
meaningful.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's crucial because the insights that we gain from using a tool like this depend on its accuracy and relevance.
All right, so we've covered like the theory,
Yeah.
the cultural context,
Uh-huh.
and how this book goes about measuring achievement motivation
Yeah.
in a way that's both reliable and valid.
Right.
But what does this all mean for like our listeners?
Yeah.
Why should they care about understanding their own achievement motivation?
That's a great question. And it's something that we're actually going to explore in a lot more detail in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
But I'll give you a little sneak peek.
Okay.
Understanding what drives you to succeed can be incredibly powerful. It can help you set better goals,
Okay.
find more fulfilling work, and even navigate challenges more effectively.
It's like having a roadmap to your own potential.
Exactly. But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
let's take a closer look at the scale itself
Okay.
and how it breaks down this complex concept of achievement motivation into these measurable dimensions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay. Ready for that?
Okay, great. Welcome back to the deep dive. Last time we were getting into like the nitty-gritty of how this book measures achievement motivation.
Right.
It's not just this like vague idea.
Yeah.
They actually created this scale
Yeah.
and they made sure it's reliable
Right.
and it actually measures what it's supposed to.
Right. It's like they built a special tool
Yeah.
just for this purpose.
Yeah.
And what I think is so fascinating is they didn't just stop there.
Yeah.
They actually broke down achievement motivation into these different dimensions.
Right.
Which makes it a lot more practical and insightful. Yeah, let's delve into those dimensions.
Okay.
Because that's where things get really interesting, for you. This isn't just about like a score.
Right.
It's about understanding what that score means
Yeah.
in terms of your own like behaviors and tendencies.
Okay. So walk us through some of these dimensions.
Okay.
What are they
Okay.
and how can understanding them like help us in real life?
So one of the key dimensions is persistence.
Okay.
And you can probably guess what that means. It's about like how you deal with setbacks.
Okay.
Someone with like high persistence on this scale, they don't give up easily.
Right.
They keep pushing even when things get tough.
It's like that saying like fall 7 times, stand up 8.
Yeah, exactly.
But it makes me wonder, does that mean that people who score lower on persistence are just like doomed to give up easily?
Not at all. It's not about like labeling people.
Right.
Remember, these scores are just insights,
Okay.
not destinies.
Okay.
What's important is understanding your tendencies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you know that you might struggle with persistence, you can develop strategies to help you stay on track.
Okay.
Maybe you break down big goals into smaller steps.
Yeah.
Or you find an accountability partner
Yeah.
to kind of like help you stay motivated.
So instead of seeing it as a limitation,
Right.
you can use that knowledge to your advantage
Exactly.
and find ways to work with your natural tendencies.
Exactly. Another dimension that this scale measures is independence.
Okay.
And this is about like how much you need or prefer to work on your own.
Yeah.
Someone who scores high on independence might thrive in environments where they have a lot of autonomy and control over their work.
That makes me think about like different work styles. Some
Yeah.
people love collaborating
Yeah.
and like bouncing ideas off of others,
Yeah.
while other people prefer to just like focus and do their best work independently.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And understanding where you fall on that spectrum can help you find work environments that align with your preferences.
So if you know you thrive on independence, maybe you'd excel as a freelancer or an entrepreneur where you have more control over your projects.
Right.
But if you thrive in collaborative settings, then like a team-based environment might be a better fit.
It's almost like you're getting a glimpse into your ideal work style
Yeah,
based on these dimensions.
exactly.
What other dimensions does the scale cover?
Well, another interesting one is self-confidence.
Okay.
This dimension captures your belief in your own abilities.
Okay.
And as you can imagine, self-confidence plays a huge role in achievement.
Right.
People with high self-confidence are more likely to take risks, embrace challenges,
Yeah.
and bounce back from setbacks.
It's almost like having that inner voice
Yeah,
that says, like, I can do this.
exactly.
But what if you don't naturally have that, like, high level of self-confidence?
Yeah.
Is that something you can develop, or are you just, like, stuck?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it ties into a broader point.
Okay.
Motivation isn't fixed. It can change and it can grow over time.
Okay.
So while some people might be naturally more self-confident,
Yeah.
others can develop it through experience, practice,
Okay.
and even through like reframing their thoughts and beliefs.
So it's not about comparing yourself to others
Right.
and saying, oh, I'm not as confident as that person.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about, like, understanding where you are now
Yeah,
and finding ways to, like, build your confidence.
absolutely. And the book provides some like really interesting insights
Okay.
into how these dimensions can actually interact with each other.
Okay.
For example, someone with high persistence but low self-confidence might struggle to initiate projects
Oh, interesting.
because they doubt their abilities.
Okay.
But if they can work on building their self-confidence, that persistence can become a really powerful asset
Yeah.
in helping them achieve their goals.
So it's like having all these different ingredients
Yeah,
that, when combined in the right way,
right?
can create, like, a powerful recipe for success.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is that this book doesn't just present these dimensions in like isolation.
Right.
It also talks about how they might be influenced by cultural factors.
Okay, let's talk about that. How does culture come into play
Yeah.
when we're thinking about achievement motivation?
Well, remember, this book was created with an Arabic-speaking audience in mind.
Right.
And within that cultural context,
Yeah.
there might be certain values or beliefs
Yeah.
that shape how people view and experience achievement.
For example, maybe in a culture that emphasizes collectivism,
Yeah.
the dimension of independence might manifest differently
Exactly.
compared to, like, a culture that values individualism.
Exactly. Or, the way that people express their need for achievement
Right.
might be influenced by cultural norms around like modesty or humility.
So it's not just about looking at these dimensions in a vacuum.
Right.
It's about understanding how they might be shaped by the cultural context in which they exist.
Precise. And that's one of the things that makes this book so insightful. It's
Right.
not just about measuring achievement motivation.
Right.
It's about understanding its nuances and complexities within a specific cultural framework.
This is making me rethink my own, like, assumptions about motivation.
Yeah.
It's not just this simple thing.
Right.
You either have it or you don't.
Right.
It's much more, like, layered and nuanced than that.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And that's really the power of like deep diving into a topic like this.
Yeah.
It challenges our assumptions
Right.
and it helps us see things from new perspectives.
All right. So we've explored these different dimensions,
Yeah.
but I'm still curious about how this all, like, translates into practical applications.
Yeah.
How can understanding these dimensions
Yeah.
actually help us achieve our goals?
That's a great question. And it's one that we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
But I'll give you a little hint.
Oh.
Think about how understanding your strengths and weaknesses in these areas can help you tailor your approach to goal setting, problem solving, and even decision making.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm ready to delve into those practical applications
Okay, great.
and see how this knowledge can be used to, like, unlock our potential.
I love it.
Welcome back to the deep dive.
Yeah.
We've been exploring this whole achievement motivation thing.
Yeah.
And I have to say, this deep dive has really opened my eyes to, like, how much more there is to it
Yeah.
than I initially thought.
It's like we peeled back the layers of the onion,
Yeah,
yeah, revealing all these intricate dimensions and cultural influences and everything.
Exactly. And now I'm really curious about the practical applications of all this.
Yeah.
You mentioned that understanding these different dimensions can help us achieve our goals.
Yes.
How so?
Well, think about it this way.
Yeah.
Let's say you're setting a goal to write a book.
Okay.
That's a big goal. That requires a lot of, achievement motivation
Yeah.
to actually see it through.
Right. You need that drive to keep going.
Yeah.
Even when you hit those inevitable roadblocks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where understanding your own motivational profile
Yeah.
can really come in handy.
Okay.
So if you know that persistence is one of your strengths,
Yeah.
that's a huge asset
Right.
when it comes to tackling a long-term project like writing a book.
So you can lean into that strength
Yeah.
and remind yourself,
Exactly.
hey, I'm good at sticking with things.
Yeah.
Even when they get tough.
Exactly. But let's say, that self-confidence is an area where you sometimes struggle.
Okay.
Knowing this allows you to be proactive.
Okay.
So maybe you break down the writing process into smaller milestones
Okay.
so that you can celebrate those mini achievements along the way,
Right.
which can boost your confidence as you go.
It's like giving yourself those little wins.
Yeah.
To keep the momentum going.
Exactly. And remember that dimension of independence. Let's say you realize you're someone who thrives on working independently.
Okay.
Well, maybe you carve out dedicated writing time
Okay.
where you can shut out distractions and really focus on your craft.
So instead of fighting against your natural tendencies,
Right.
you're working with them.
Right. And this applies to so much more than just writing a book.
Right.
Think about career choices.
Okay.
If you know you have a high need for achievement
Yeah.
and you thrive on challenge,
Yeah.
maybe you'd be drawn to a career path that offers opportunities for growth and advancement.
Or maybe you'd be more fulfilled in a role that allows you to take initiative
Yeah,
and lead projects.
exactly. And remember how we talked about cultural influences?
Yeah.
Well, those can play a role too.
Right.
Maybe in a culture that values collaboration,
Yeah.
you find that your achievement motivation is amplified
Yeah.
when you're working as part of a team,
Right.
striving towards a common goal.
It's like all these pieces fit together
Yeah.
to create this unique motivational puzzle
Right.
for each individual.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And the book really emphasizes that there's no one right way to be achievement motivated.
Okay.
It's about understanding your own personal style
Right.
and finding what works best for you.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Okay.
I feel like I have this whole new framework
Yeah,
for thinking about motivation.
I agree.
And I'm already starting to see how I can apply these insights
That's great.
to my own life.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate goal of this deep dive.
Yeah.
To empower you with knowledge and understanding
Yeah.
so you can navigate your own path to achievement
Right.
in a way that feels authentic and fulfilling for you.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into achievement motivation,
Okay.
what's one key takeaway you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important thing to remember is that understanding your own motivations is a journey.
Okay.
It's a journey of self-discovery.
Right.
It's not about striving for some external standard of success.
Right.
It's about tapping into what truly drives you from within.
And once you have that understanding,
Yeah,
you can use it as a compass to guide you
exactly.
towards goals and experiences that align with your values
I love that.
and aspirations.
Exactly. It's about harnessing the power of your own motivation
Yeah.
to create a life that feels meaningful and successful on your own terms.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into achievement motivation.
It's been my pleasure.
We hope you found it as insightful and inspiring as we did.
It's been great exploring this with you
Yeah,
and our listeners.
absolutely.
So until next time, keep diving deeper.
Yeah, see you next time.